Draven was bored. It was an inevitably recurring theme within his life, and while he had brought the arenas of Noxus to their most popular point in history, he felt he needed something special to keep him engaged. The forces at large promised him something, and he let himself feel a glimpse of excitement that they may not disappoint him. He waited in the wings of the arena while a kid they seemed to have picked up off the street went toe-to-toe with a massive spider. There had been a surge in monstrous spider sightings recently, and he figured they managed to wrangle one to kill in the arena. He thought about how much he'd like to kill one, and found himself rooting against the kid. The fight between them had barely started when he noticed two more figures entering the arena, one of the Grenadiers from the Noxian Legion, and the most beautiful woman Draven had ever seen in his life, which, for the star of the arena, was saying something. This, to a small, unadmittable degree, frightened him. This woman wouldn't be in there unless she could handle herself, and being sent out at the same time as a member of the Legion spoke to her perceived strength. He began twirling his axes idly as he waited, readying himself for a spectacular entrance as he would rip through the spiders and clash with the beauty in the center. But when he looked up from his weapons, there were a lot more spiders than he remembered, and the man from the Legion lay dead. Unable to sit still any longer, Draven cut through the bars, keeping him out of the arena, and hit the ground running full force toward the battle, axes whirling at his side. But as he got closer, he got a good look at Elise for the first time. He stood, awestruck, not quite comprehending what he was looking at. His axes grinded to a halt as he and Elise stared at each other, while the orphan kid from Zon lobbed an explosive device at her. The force blew her away and out of Draven's line of sight, allowing him to focus on the monstrous forces in front of him. He had fought beasts in the arena before, but these spiders seemed more wild, and after seeing the fate of the Legionnaire, he knew he could fight to kill. This pleased him. But before he could get started, more and more spiders crawled out of the gates and into the arena, some even coming from the gates indicating they would be fighting alongside him. The numbers and positioning were against him if that was the case, and as the shock of the woman started to fade from him, he realized he could hear the crowd for the first time, and that they were cheering against him. He couldn't recall how long he had been standing there, still axes at his side, and realized he hadn't done a single thing since making his grand entrance. He cursed his own inactivity, let out a ferocious cry, and leapt full force into the midst of the ongoing battle of man and monstrosities. Amidst the flurry of things being torn apart, he noticed the Zonite kid throw another explosive in between two spiders locked in a combative dance with one another. He didn't know which was supposed to be on his side, or if the dying kid even cared, but the bigger of the spiders was blown to pieces, and a tiny mechanical one came from the center of the explosion. He felt as though more than half the enemy forces had been taken out, but upon surveying the field, their numbers hadn't seemed to have changed. On top of that, Viseed, whom Draven had fought many times before, stepped out of a gate on the side of the spiders. Viseed gave Draven a run for the crowd's favoritism under even circumstances, and they were heavily stacked against him here. Draven's offense had felt ineffective against such a large number of enemies, no matter how weak, and with Viseed in the mix, he would need something creative to win the crowd over to his side. Draven readied himself for the counterattack, frantically rummaging through the pockets of his fallen ally for anything he could use, anything flashy enough to win the crowd back. Viseed boasted and posed while Draven hacked and slashed his way through all the spiders around them, knowing he could get the people on his side in a 1 versus 1, as he had so many times before. He tore through them in fantastical fashions, even using a blaster he had found, but the crowd seemed blind to all of it in the face of the twist that a Reckoner would be on the side of the spiders. As Draven stabbed through the last spider and pointed his axe at Viseed, he peeked back at his own forces. The kid from Zon was on his feet again, somehow, as more spiders rampaged out of the opposing gates. He glimpsed at his own, and the kid from Zon perked up and brushed himself off. Spiders he had thought dead burst open, more legs sprawling out in his opposition. He fully turned to the kid, who just shrugged, unsure of what Draven really expected out of him. Draven's frustration was clear on his face, but it wasn't boredom. Knowing that the rookie could only take out 1 or 2 spiders at a time, the odds seemed pretty stacked against them, but Draven once again began hacking his way toward Viseed, who stood behind the monsters, more concerned with soaking in the applause than battling a bloody Draven. Draven thought the man a coward, but the crowd painted him as an apex predator, a reckoner who conquered men and beasts by getting these things to do battle for him. In his current state, Draven wasn't even sure he could beat the man in a fight, but Vasid seemed uninterested in trying his luck regardless. "This sucks, do the axe thing again," Draven heard someone call from the crowd. He spotted the heckler immediately, easily identified by her blue hair and the fact that she was climbing down from the stands into the arena herself. The largest spider yet galloped in from the gate behind her, and the spiders all ran to converge on her position as she sprinted toward the Reckoners. Uncharacteristically caught up in everything going on around him, Draven hadn't noticed how close he had actually gotten to Vasid, who now had the drop on him as he pulled back for his signature punch. "Catch!" yelled the rookie, as he tossed an explosive device toward Jinx, who caught it, slid between Draven's legs, and held it up with a massive grin as Vasid's fist connected with it. The explosion of fireworks sent Draven flying, and as he lay on his back hearing the crowd go wild, he knew he wouldn't be able to top something like that. It certainly wasn't what he had in mind for the day, but it sure was something special.